Go ahead.
Thank you. I thought I'd start things off. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. With Ohio State, you guys handled them pretty well last season, beating them twice. I wanted to know what makes them so different this season to jump all the way up to number 2 in the country.
Well, I think what we've watched them do, Haley, is play really good basketball, without JC Sheldon, who is, she's a first team All Big Ten kid, and win games. And so, they've been playing without her and Madison, Green, who was, a couple years ago, last year she was out with a knee injury. This year she went out again, but two really good guards without their absence, and they've been able to play really good basketball. Cody McMahon, who's a freshman, I mean, she's a freight train. She's really helped them. Teri has improved. She's gotten so much better than she was a year ago. And so you have obviously, the shooter, Mike Cassell, who's terrific, and she's a very difficult guard to begin with. Ricky's playing better. I just think they've all stepped up, kind of like we had to when Grace went out. But their press is what ignites them. It's what gets them going, and not to take anything away from them defensively, but I think they're less interested. I think their press is what they rely on to get those turnovers, to get those layups. They're not as interested in the half court. Once you get it into the half court, their pressure isn't what it is in the full court. So, and again, I think, you win games without some of those guys that are, very instrumental in your success. And then, trust me, it happens, it's contagious. When you win, it kind of snowballs and you just keep winning, and everybody feels very confident. And so, now this is a very dangerous team, and especially dangerous coming off of a loss at home, to an Iowa team. Wilson.
Teri, you're off to the best start in program history, and now you have a big opportunity with the top 5 team coming. How do you not get distracted? I know you don't like thinking too far ahead. How do you not get distracted, buy too much into a big game like this?
Well, you can't. You have to, as we always say, keep your head down, keep your blinders on, and keep your, after, that you win against Michigan, you have about, quick turnaround. We didn't get in until about 2:00 in the morning. So between the end of the game and 2:00, we were excited about the win. And then you hope that your kids get some rest. Yesterday was sort of a light day for us, but, we watched a little bit of film on Michigan. We put that to bed, and then we moved right into our Ohio State prep. And so, you don't have a lot of time. Distractions are, something that you can't allow to happen. We're glad to be home. We played the last 2 on the road. So to be in our own environment, our own beds, and, it's going to be, is really a good thing for us. And, I'm glad we're back to routine. We're back to a schedule. It's going to be a late game tomorrow. I was worried about that at Michigan, just a long day, but we managed to break it up for them, so it didn't seem so long. Now these kids understand what they're playing for. I've said that. I've talked about their maturity and their experience, and that's what you have to rely on. But it starts at the top, with us. We spend very little time, with what we just did and what we were able to accomplish. And or whether we win or whether we come up short, we got to move on because it's such a quick turnaround. Tyler.
Hey, Coach. I hope you're doing well. Lexus Bargesser and Lily Meister are 2 freshmen that have been making an impact recently. I guess, could you just kind of go through what you saw from them when you were recruiting them each? What stood out about them, and kind of what was the reason that you wanted to get them to IU?
Well, obviously starting with Lily, I mean, we need size. Mac is not getting any younger, so, we needed to fill, the 5 spot with a kid that we thought could come in here. And we knew that, she had a tremendous work ethic. She has an upside, obviously her size. She does have some mobility. She's such a coachable kid as well. She's a sponge. She just takes it all in. She comes in and she does extra. with Coach Rhett. And, I think we've watched with Lexi, inside of every practice, but also inside of every game when their number's been called, they've been ready. And two, they've had an impact. I thought Lily did a great job, the other night on Kaiser, when Matt got into foul trouble, we needed Lily to come in and because they were going to pound the ball into Kaiser, and we knew that. But I thought Lily did a terrific job of staying ready. She was disappointed, she missed the layup. Berger hit her on a nice little feed and she missed that. She was disappointed, but then she turns around and she hits her free throws. And so, she's a kid, I think, that has a really tremendous upside, and she has, a bright future in terms of our player development, because I think, what Coach Rhett and Box and Cy now, but what Janice and Ashley have done in the past. I mean, our player development is off the charts. It's really good, and our players have always gotten better. And then with Lexi, kind of the same thing. She's athletic. She is. She's long. Those long arms that she has. Obviously, she's. It's just taken her some time to really understand our system offensively. When I say offensively, there's a lot of timing that goes into a lot of things that we run. And so just her comfort level, her realizing what the job is of a point guard at this level. It's not high school where you can just go out and make plays. We have to be in sync, and she has to make sure all of our pieces are where they need to be. She has gotten better, and I think she's more confident than ever. We still need to continue to work on her shot from the outside. And she knows that, she realizes that, there's still a lot of work that has to be done for her, in order for other teams to really have to guard her hard, like they have to guard Grace Berger and like they have to guard some of our other, promoter players. But, what she's been able to do is understand where her strengths lie. And, we put her in positions where she can have success. The other thing too, with her length and her athleticism, is that, we've challenged her with getting to the offensive glass, more so. And so, both of them have really done a great job for us. And like I said, all freshmen get better inside of our program. They've stayed patient, but they've also stayed ready when their number was called. Lou.
Teri, I think on Monday when the poll came out, there were 6 Big Ten teams in the top 22. And so it's not everybody's imagination that you're playing a ranked team about every other day. What do you think the rest of the country has started to notice the caliber of the Big Ten overall? And that's what's reflected there. And how much of a minefield does that make it for your team with the way the schedule is?
Well, the answer to your first question, Lou, is that's why we have to rely on the media, right? We got to rely on you guys to make sure that your stories represent, what this conference looks like and how difficult it is. I've said this, and again, every conference change, from year to year is different, and I get that. But I do think this particular season, the 22-23 season, that the Big Ten Conference is the very best in women's basketball. You just don't have there's no separation from the bottom to the top. There's just not very, if there is, it's not by a lot. And so, it's always been our charge as the head coaches of all of our programs to make sure that we're telling the story when we get in front of media of how good the Big Ten is. And so that's the first part, that we do have to rely on you guys in the media to make sure you're telling our story and just how good it is of a league. But the other part of that is that, if you would ask any of our players, I don't think that we would rather, this is where we want to be. This is, in terms of the rankings and the teams that we're playing. I mean, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And, if you want to win championships, I mean, as I said, I think I've answered this, you got to win all of them, and or dang near all of them. And so we've just managed to take one game at a time. That's what we always do. But, the pressure is past us. It's been a privilege for the last couple of years of, the pressure that's kind of been on this program and on this team. our kids have already embraced that. I don't think that if you ask them, they would want to trade places with anybody else, in the country or any of these other conferences in terms of being in the Big and representing the Big Ten.
Ari.
Sorry. That
Good
was
morning.
Lucy. Morning.
Good morning, Coach. Looked like a good snowstorm. It looks like
Yeah.
you're at home unlike normal. Can you talk about the role of the crowd tomorrow night? I know it's Fill the Hall night. How big of a crowd and how much can it play a role to help you, will you to victory and try to help you tomorrow night?
Well, if I could get a hold of a whole bunch of university buses, I would, and go around picking people up, because I think that's what it's going to require, I just ask that everybody, first of all, I want everybody to be safe, because it is, today is not a good day to be out on the streets. But, I hope by tomorrow, maybe some of this white stuff is gone. It's a late start. So, I do think it will impact some of those that come, from a little bit further, outside of the Bloomington community, to watch us play. But we still have how many students on this campus, Megan? Not all of them will show up, but if half of them show up, that would be a great thing. So if we can't, I think our community, our fans, our season ticket holders, the mainstays that have always come to watch us, I think they'll show up. But how can we generate some interest, from our student population right now, that they can walk over from their dorms and, sit in Assembly Hall from 8:30 to however long the game goes and cheer us on. Like they did a year ago in the NCAA tournament. I think that was probably the biggest turnout we had from a student section. And so, get the word out. We're going to need them, especially if this white stuff continues to fall.
Haley. Coach, when you look at your stat sheet, you're going to see, Mackenzie Holmes at the top, Grace Berger contributing great buckets, great minutes. Who on your team isn't necessarily stuffing the stat sheet, but someone that you are especially proud of and can make a huge difference versus Ohio State?
Well, again, I hate to state the obvious, but what we were able to get from Sarah the other night at Michigan was huge. And I said it, Haley, because I wanted everybody to realize that in spite of kind of her not being able to shoot the ball the way that we've watched her shoot it, she got back on track, which was such a great thing to see. But what Sarah didn't allow it to do was impact other ways, to help her team. And that's what I was most proud of, because sometimes when you're labeled a shooter, which she doesn't want to be just labeled a shooter, she wants to be labeled an all around good basketball player. And that part of the reason why she came to Indiana is because she knew that she was going to get challenged on the defensive end by us. And what she's managed to do is really try to focus her attention on that side of the ball. And I've been so pleased with how she's fought over ball screens, how she's tried to be in the rotations for us in the right kind of way. I mean, I think back to the Nebraska, she had two major big steals just rotating over backside help. And so her defense has improved so much. And so then that's stuff that never shows up in the stat sheet. You don't see those rotations. You don't see the grittiness, her fighting over ball screens, the loose balls that she'll get on the floor for. You don't see those. And so, I've been really, really pleased. And also her role's changed. Now she's coming off the bench for us. And so, that sometimes is a big adjustment for a kid that's always started and when she was at Minnesota, and now to come to Indiana and start and then come off the bench for us. And so she's had to kind of manage a couple different things that have changed for her. But the one thing that she hasn't allowed it to do is impact, a way in which she can still help us be successful. And so I'm most proud of that she's her maturity, because she's not a talkative kid. She's a very quiet kid by nature. But you can see her, she's really trying. She's really trying hard to do the right things. And so I'm really, really proud of her for that.
Talia.
The first word that most people will say when they're talking about Yarden is competitive, and how much of a competitor that she is. Is there a moment on or off the court that's really stood out to you in terms of her competitive nature?
Well, obviously you got to see a little bit of emotion, and I think in the Nebraska game, I think she gets the big steal, and then she manages to rotate over and get a block, and so she did let out some emotion. I thought maybe she'd be a little bit more emotional when Mom was in town because she had such a big game. Who was that against, Megan? That was at home against Maryland. Wisconsin.
They were there for both games, but Yarden had 19.
Wisconsin, yeah, she played really well against them. But you see it every day in practice. Trust me. We normally I'll put in at least 1 to 2 shooting drills, competitive shooting drills, inside of every practice. And our kids get so tickled at her because she's so competitive in those moments. Whether it's it's beat the clock and you have to fly around and chase down your made or miss and get it back in line, and so in those moments she's very, very talkative, and I can see, and just the reaction from our kids, but she is uber competitive, and I love it because she's she doesn't show much emotion, but being around her, the longer I'm around her and the longer that I've had the opportunity to coach her, you realize just how competitive, she is. And she also wants to be pushed, and she wants to be coached, and she wants to be challenged. And so that's the other thing that I love about her is that, she tries to make adjustments. When you correct her, it's, a head shake, I got you. And, but she really loves to win, and whatever drill it is, it doesn't matter. If there's a number on it, if there's a time you're trying to beat, she's all in and trying to, to achieve whatever you're trying to do that day.
Wilson.
Looking ahead to Ohio State, just with them coming off a loss, what can you see from that Iowa game? What can you take in just terms of how you beat this Ohio State team?
Well, one, they're going to be motivated. I don't think they'll do anything different. They are who they are. They're going to press, and if it goes away, they're going to bring it back. They miss shots. That's really what it came down to. They miss shots that they normally make, and so. If like most coaches, we are that have a team that, has had plenty of success like they have. I would imagine that Kevin is just chalked it up as that was a bad day for us. And we all have them. So, they're going to be motivated to come in and, try to get back on track. So, it's not, they're not going to flip the script or change their playbook for Indiana. They're going to come in and be who they've been.